Hey guys, it's me, Virginia from Divinity School. What's up? I'm back home. So I'm here home in Cody, Wyoming, in the house I grew up in. And it's really, really good to be home with my animals and the horses and be in the mountains in the place I grew up in. And I just went on an amazing journey from Laramie, Wyoming up to Bozeman, Montana, and then back down here to Cody, and did a really fun hike up to the lower saddle of the Grand and the Tetons, which I'm gonna be posting a video that I did from the trail, and then a really amazing river float for 3 days on the Yellowstone up near Livingston, Montana. So it's been an amazing time in nature and just getting back in touch with this land to connect. And I'm really excited to be back with you guys. I have a lot of ideas for what I would like to be doing with Divinity School, or maybe even calling it more of like Divinity Ranch here in Wyoming, of like making a retreat center and making somewhere for people to come and practice mindful spiritual living together in nature and with animals. So more to come about that. But last night when I got home, I got back to all my books, my real books. I don't just have my Kindle anymore. So I wanted to talk to you guys. This was just the first book that I picked out, of course, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot. So it's called The New Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't know, probably a lot of you have read it, but it's by Maxwell Maltz, who's a doctor. And you guys will love this. A bit of the framework of him coming into psycho-cybernetics, which I'll talk about here in a minute. He was a cosmetic surgeon. And what he realized was with so many of his patients that it wasn't actually what was on the outside that was the problem. It was their conception of their self. And so he started getting into psycho-cybernetics, and as he says in the book, like, he talks himself out of a bunch of patients, which is awesome, right? Because he's like, there's nothing wrong with your nose, there's nothing wrong with your ears. There's not, like, that's not the problem. The problem is the problem is your self-image. And, or as Joe Dispenza would say, and I think this ties in so much with psycho-cybernetics, it's your program that you're running on. So that's basically what psycho-cybernetics is talking about. And I clearly need to get more into this because I've been thinking so much lately, like our brain and even our physical body, I mean, it's like a computer, or it's like hardware. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, but our bodies are kind of like robots, because we are actually our souls. Like, we are actually the electricity or the power, the awareness and the consciousness that is using these tools, this computer, in this physical world to, be able to play the game, I guess. But, our brain is like the most impressive computing hardware system that we yet know of in the universe. And I'm sure there are many more out there, but it makes me think of A Destiny of Souls as well. A Destiny of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton, a hypnotherapist. And how he talks about so he does a lot of you guys have read this book, but he does interlife regression with people. So past life regression through hypnosis, but also going into interlife regression. And that's where he focuses. So memories from the spirit world, basically, like when we're souls between incarnations or before incarnations, or eventually after, if we choose to stop incarnating at any time, or maybe graduate to another dimension or plane. And he talks about, or his patients talk about, when they're in this interlife regression through hypnosis, they talk about how many of them have incarnated as other physical beings. But the kind of the undercurrent that I understand is like looking for those places where that physical hardware, if you will, has evolved to the point that our consciousness can come in and sort of like, and I'm looking forward to you guys' thoughts on this, because like the connections are so obviously there. It's like, anything that we can make is sort of like a metaphor for what made us. Like, we are to what we make as our maker is to us, So there's a lot to be said about computers and hardware and software and programs. And Joe Dispenza is always using that language, programming. You know, what program are you running on? And whenever you're not conscious of the now moment, coming into conscious awareness of the presence and how you are running this thing, if you will, and then coming into consciousness of yourself as the one who is living the software, but also who is writing the software, and also the one who is observing this interaction between soul and body, or between hardware and software. Like, so this idea just makes perfect sense to me, that that's kind of what we're doing here. Like the soul, or our awareness, like the electricity, the timeless essence and being of that which we really are, is integrates with these bodies. So that was the train of thought I was on. That's what he talks about. These souls say, it's kind of like they look for life forms, or maybe they wait for them, or I don't know how it happens, but that basically have the circuitry, the hardwiring, a brain, an operating system that then they can meld with and experience through and with. And it's very much like, on this level, us using a computer. Like our soul is using our brain like a computer. And we can learn, and we should, and I have a lot to learn. A lot of you probably know a lot more than me about the hardware, right? That's like neuroscience. And it's really vital to learn about that. And because and like the more we can do with computers, the more it tells us about kind of what's going on with with our brain. Like that's clearly what the computer is just has been made in the image of, if you will. So I just think it's pretty exciting to realize that. So we can learn as much that we want about the hardware, and that's amazing. But if we don't understand how it applies to us, like using it, then you can know everything there is to know about neuroscience, but not realize like how you as a being in this reality, yes, this is the hardwiring you're working with, but do you understand that you're actively interacting with that and programming it? Do you understand that you are programming the software that you're running on? And he calls it the automatic success mechanism, or the creative mechanism, but it's like the subconscious, like our conscious mind, our conscious awareness, you know. And I'm going to be playing with this, you guys. So comment in, because I'm just trying to tie it all together. So I want to hear you guys' takes. Like this is the creative expression and journey we're on together. But it's like the subconscious is that which you insert the programming into, and that's whatever. And your conscious mind programs your subconscious. But the subconscious is also connected to the collective unconscious, the superconscious, and the superconscious. And so at any given time, the subconscious it's like the quantum field, right? It's the realm of all possibilities that knows all and is connected to all. So we give it problems to solve or programs to run on, and it finds the means for those to manifest. And it just automatically does that. It automatically does that. So because our subconscious and whatever it is that's running, like the universal mind, our maker that made this hardware, that is running this hardware without our conscious help, like, you know, there's nothing that can do, we're not to that level. Like that's that which made us. So we just want to understand that we're doing the same thing, like on different levels, on with everything that we're making. And we want to run this computer to our greatest advantage. And I think this all comes back to the Tao and everything too, right? Where like things where you're like, that just doesn't make sense, you know, do nothing and nothing is left undone. Or again, one of my favorite quotes from the book, Thus Spoke the Plant by Monica Gagliano. And she's told this from pine trees. It's move not, but be moved. And it's like, well, how does that work? I have so many things that I have to keep in order and I have to, but that's just a program you're running on. Like, how do you do nothing when you're running on the perfect program? Your subconscious is programmed for peace, happiness, abundance, love, affection, creative expression, success, helping others, like all of the good things. And when that programming is done, everything just comes to you. And this is very Neville Goddard like too. Like it's just different languages of saying the same thing, which is like, you don't have to try. When we put the programming in, we have the perfect mechanism that gives us, well, it just happens anyway. Are you conscious of it or not? This mechanism of our experience in the physical world and whatever it is that we're a part of, even like saying the hardware of the physical world, our program, our software that we're running on, and how often we're updating it, right? But our software that we're running on determines what we experience out of the infinite possibilities of experience and expression that there are. We determine that. So if we have a really good program going that's going to bring us everything we desire, you don't need to do anything. It all comes to you. That's what's happening anyway. But if you're running on a program that says, oh, I have to work really hard, I always have to like make sure that I like keep everything up, and I'm the one who's in charge of this, and I'm the, and it's very hard and it's very hard and it's very hard. It's like, well, that's what you're going to experience. That's the software that you're running on. Your experience that you're asking for of all possibilities of experience is a difficult one. And again, you guys, it's like, this is power. I want to come at all this from the empowerment side, because I feel like it's really easy to be like, well, then why is all this like terrible stuff happening? And it's like, because those are the programs that we're running on. But let's have that be empowering. Like, who cares? Like, that means right now you can become conscious and start to change your program. Right now, you can become aware and then begin to reprogram your subconscious so that you can actually move not but be moved. So that you can actually do nothing but nothing is left undone. Because you're not the one doing it. That's why I'm saying it's like, whoever it is that's making my heart beat, right? God, love, the one power, the one intelligence, our maker, that which we all are and from which we all came, that power has access to everything perfectly. And I'm connected to that through what I ask for. Ask and you shall receive. Ask and believe that you already have it. And you will receive. So, can you have that faith? Like, can you have faith that whatever you program, whatever you ask for, will be manifested, will be given to you? That's how it works. And we are, again, we're like, I think it's really cool to think of our bodies and our brains as computers, because I'm not saying that we're computers. Like, we've already talked about this, we already know I'm not my body. My awareness always has been and always will be, and I don't need my body to be aware. And I don't need my brain to be aware. But my brain is like the hardware computer that allows me to play this physical game. But we're here to play with it too, like bringing an attitude of play to all this. It's like, you're the programmer, the experiencer, the observer, but you can play around with it. Like, what program do you want? What programs are you running on? You can rewrite them. That's why it's so empowering. It's like, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how good or bad it's gone. Like, you can rewrite them now and you can experience something new now. I am sure of it. Right now, you can rewrite your program. So again, for these resources, and I haven't read Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, I'm going to, but I love his videos. If what I'm saying is speaking to you, Joe Dispenza is saying the same stuff. And that's what happens during transcendental meditation. That's what happens when our brain waves get slower and more receptive. Again, when it's like we're opening that door between the conscious and the subconscious. That's the best time to program. This is what Joe Dispenza talks about too. And why is that? I think it's Neville Goddard who said this, but I feel like I've read it multiple places. So if the percentage is wrong, but what I'm remembering is 95% of the time throughout the day, we're just running on our subconscious programming. Like for background things, it basically determines everything we're going to experience in our day. What we have control over then consciously is how we experience that. But what we're going to experience, our subconscious has already determined. And like Neville Goddard talks about, our subconscious determines that while we sleep. And then we wake up and we think we're these free agents. We are free agents of experience. But as far as what's coming, that's coming directly to us from our subconscious programming. And this is why, Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot too. It's coming outside of time. Like our subconscious, we're not trying to fix things like in time and space. When we fix them at the subconscious or energetic level, things that take 10 years when you're trying to fight it and running on this program of things taking a lot of time can suddenly happen in a week. Because you're not doing it in the world of effects. You're not trying to mess with the hardware. You just change the programming. You change the software. And because it's all connected in this reality of creation that we are, I absolutely think that yes, changing our software can change the hardware. And I don't know if that can happen with computers yet. It's like a computer fixing itself, I guess. But I'm sure it will be able to. Like also anything that we are, we can create anything because we are made in the image of our creator. So I think it's all very exciting, but it's like we're actually really one with all this as far as the physical body goes. And obviously there are all these amazing higher orders of technology out there across the universe or the multiverse as well. And souls, individualized awarenesses experiencing running those computers. So I just want to read you guys a couple of things from Psycho-Cybernetics. So this is where he describes what Psycho-Cybernetics is. You might think of Psycho-Cybernetics as a collection of insights, principles, and practical methods that enable you to do all of the following. 1, conduct an accurate inventory and analysis of the contents of your self-image. To me, you could also just say become present or become conscious. Because when you do that, you start to realize what you're experiencing. And that is what counts, right? It's like everything's neutral. As Gary Zukov would talk about that. What tells me what my programming is in regard to that thing is how I'm experiencing that. Like a milkshake can make one person feel ecstatic, one person feel sad, one person feel guilty. Like what you're experiencing, becoming conscious of that is the first clue to finding out what your programming is. Because again, everything's neutral without your experience and interpretation of it. 2, identify erroneous and restrictive programming embedded in your self-image and systematically alter it to better suit your purposes. So, I think this is where affirmations can come in and noticing weak thoughts that you're having. This has been another thing that I've talked about, but it's like, okay, so identify erroneous and restrictive programming. So anytime that you're feeling weak or negative about something, really, because what is feeling weak but being cut off from energy, which you're always connected to, one with, and is available to you, infinite energy at any time. So when you feel weak, there's something in your programming that basically is malfunctioning as far as, and we could really simplify this. What is a malfunction or what is wrong programming? Anything that is experienced around or associated with fear instead of love. Because love is energy. Love is light. Love is endless energy. Love is openness. Love is oneness. Love is unity. Fear is cutting off from all of that. So anytime that you're feeling, and you can test with muscle testing if you want, but you can also just intuitively feel in your heart when you're thinking a thought, you become conscious. You become conscious of the present moment. What thought am I thinking? Oh, is that a strong or weak thought? If it's a weak thought, it's associated with erroneous programming. And who's another person that talks about this? Ho'oponopono Ono. Gosh, guys, I'm forgetting his name again. I know a lot of you guys know the man who made Ho'oponopono Ono. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Famous. That's exactly how he describes what Ho'oponopono Ono is that he's just correcting incorrect data. And that's what he talks about, that our whole self-image, if you will, or programming or software is basically running on a data that we have stored, is running on the data that we have stored, the programming that we're running on. And so each time there's something that you have a negative reaction to, or that makes you feel weak or cut off from energy, that's wrong data. So that's awesome. Yes, wrong data. I discovered it. I identified erroneous and restricted programming. Awesome. Thank you for that chance for atonement, as A Course in Miracles would say, or for that chance to discover wrong data or programming. I'm sorry that I held on to that and that I incorrectly stored that and held on to it, and I'm still running on it 15 years later or whatever. So thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you. Because my error was that I didn't love you. It's not that this neutral thing, whatever's going on, that's revealing this incorrect data to me, that anything's wrong with that. It's that I stored incorrect data about not loving something. I stored incorrect data that put something in fear instead of love. So I love you. I accept you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me as I rewrite this programming. Now, how do you rewrite the programming? How do you decide what program to run on? You use what Neville Goddard loves to call your wonderful human imagination, who, according to Neville Goddard, is God, right? And that's our awareness. That's our infinite awareness, our imagination. Or like they're one, like our imagination is, I think that they could be synonymous, imagination with the infinite awareness we are, because in our imagination, we have access to all things. Anything that you can imagine is real, and you can imagine anything that's real. Okay, so number 3, use your imagination to reprogram and manage your self-image. 4, use your imagination in concert with your self-image to effectively communicate with your servo mechanism, your subconscious, so that it acts as an automatic success mechanism, moving you steadily toward your goals, including getting back on course when confronted with obstacles. 5, effectively use your servo mechanism as something like a giant search engine. It's like the internet of our, but that's like the collective consciousness, right? Too. To provide precisely the idea, information, or solution you need for any particular purpose, even reaching beyond your own stored data to obtain it. In a way, psychocybernetics is a communication system for effectively communicating with yourself. You could also say it's for effectively communicating with the big capital S self and the little s self. This is getting to be a long video, so I am going to wrap this up. But I just wanted to share one other thing that he says here, and I think this is a good quote to come away with. So human beings, he also says, this is the most important statement to be gleaned from this entire book. The most important statement. Human beings always act and feel and perform in accordance with what they imagine to be true about themselves and their environment. And what tells us what's true, what it's always running through, is our programming. And so we can reprogram ourselves, you guys. And it all ties into, Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza. We reprogram ourselves with our imagination, and we can imagine up and spend our time focusing on, whether writing or thinking about or recording ourselves talking about and listening to as we're going to sleep, or relaxing and planting beautiful programming in our subconscious and making it, yes, an automatic success mechanism, or also just in accordance with what it really is, which is pure love and giving, right? Because the whole point is, whatever you ask for, you will receive. You shall receive. Step one is just becoming conscious that that is what's already happening. We are all free to determine what we program ourselves with, what we think about, what we feel, our association with every experience we have. We are all free in that. And that is what determines what we experience. That is what determines what we experience. What a gift, you guys. This is real. This is real. It's an actual place that you can get to. And I guess it's called enlightenment. But I'm so excited to be on this journey with you guys, because that is where I want to go, I want to go where nothing is done, but nothing is left undone. Where I have become one with this automatic success mechanism, or he also calls it the creative mechanism, which made me, and which I have full power and use over. The awareness that I am has full power and use over. And the more synchronized and in union my mind and my soul and my heart and my body and all that is become with what they truly are, then the more that I am the observer and I am fully conscious that all that comes to me is a reflection of the data that I have stored, a reflection of the program that I'm running on. And at any given time, I have the power, the conscious awareness, the heart power, the feeling power, the imaginative power to change what I receive. But I realize that where that work comes from, the real surgery, as he says, that needs to happen is on the inside, not on the outside. So I'm sure I'm going to be talking a lot more about this book and a lot more about all of this. I look forward to you guys' comments. This may our conversations about this, our understanding of this, our ways of experiencing and explaining and sharing this, may those be ever evolving, and may they be communal. I'm here interacting with you guys. This is me every day, more and more trying to experience and practice the truth of who I am. And I'm so glad that you guys are on this journey with me. I love you guys so much. I've missed you. I'm back. I'll talk to you soon.